We're just doing a little test. It's been about 15 months. Hello? 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 Hello?
Glad we did that. Mine works.
Huh?
I killed his mic.
We still have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3. 3 minutes.
Test mic. Test.
I can hear you.
Testing. Test.
What would you like me to say, Teresa? If it was only that easy to shut me up, right? So I know technically we have 2 minutes, but I have another date at 3 o'clock over at Guilford. So I want to make sure we have plenty of time to get both things in. So glad to see y'all. I see some familiar lights are too bright. Cut off some lights. Turn some lights off. All right, we'll see what happens. Yeah, and then we'll go to sleep, right, after lunch, right? I do see some faces that were not here at the semi-annual meeting we had for residents last Wednesday, so glad to have you here. It was a good meeting. It was a long meeting. I think it was like 3 hours. It felt like 20. I think it was 3 hours. So anyway, glad to see y'all. It's been about 15 months, so I've actually been in person with you. So I don't know quite what I'm ready for here, but I guess we're going to find out very soon. I will tell you, Teresa had a really good idea leading up to this. Yes, our own Dr. Cox had a really good idea. She said, you talk so much, why don't you just ask questions of them, or let them ask questions of you, and then you can always fill in if there's a void. And I thought, that's a really good idea. And so what we're going to do is a little different. I'm going to just, rather than, because I do have about 15 things on my list, but if we run out of time, we run out of time, and I'll get it to you somehow. But I really want to make sure this next hour and 15 minutes is answering any questions that you may have. I'll do my best to give you what I know. There is only really one ground rule, and is if you have something that's really a personal issue that's only to you, that doesn't benefit the community at large, I would like for you to hold that. Let's talk after the meeting or some other time, because with our limited time, sometimes we can go down rabbit holes. And I want to make sure that the questions that we're addressing really benefit the community. So that's the only thing. So if you ask a question that I think is specific to you, I'm not trying to be rude, but I might say, let's talk after the meeting about that one. So with that being said, now Teresa, are you walking around? Okay, you're walking around. So does anybody like to kick us off with a question? Yes, sir.
I'll kick it off.
Okay.
Arnie, there's a lot of questions among people about the dining room.
Okay.
That's when that's going to be closed and what they're going to do to it and when it will reopen. Do you have any idea about that?
So of my 85 things on my list, for some reason, I only had that as 83. So I didn't think that would be that important to y'all. I guess I was wrong. Okay. Trying to be funny. It's going to take me a couple months to get back into the swing of things, so bear with me. Thank you, Ed. Okay, so let's talk about the dining room. All right, I'm going to, as I said before, I'm throwing the spaghetti on the wall. Here's where we are, right or wrong. The initial game plan for our phase 1 construction was to start with the Wellness Center. The Wellness Center was supposed to be wrapping up August, September of this year. Got started a little bit later than we anticipated. We also ran into some problems with the pool, which put us a little bit behind. We've also ran into some problems. You may not know this, but there is a staffing issue in the world. People are finding people, retaining people. Ran into some staffing issue as far as with the contractor. And believe it or not, a lot of issues related to getting materials, whether they're coming from China or even across the state line. We just found out today that there's a restriction on the amount of cement that's being processed. They're doling those out in quantities. And so we're waiting on things that we released 3 months ago, that were supposed to be here 3 months ago. So anyway, it's delayed the project. So now the Wellness Center is scheduled to open, not the bistro. The Wellness Center is scheduled to open on March 22nd. March the 22nd. And if you're upset about that, I can promise you we are just as upset. So as Mom always says, it is what it is, so how do you deal with it? So we know March 22nd as of today, and hey, good news. I'm always looking for good news. We had our construction meeting update, and it's still March 22nd. So we went from November, December to all of a sudden March, and just with a blink of an eye, but today is still March 22nd. But what they brought up today, and I told them that I was going to be talking to you this afternoon, and we have another meeting on Friday, is they said, here are the facts. There's limited availability as it relates to staffing projects. The team that was assigned to the dining room renovation, which is a good team, we negotiated this when we did this whole project 2 years ago to get a specific team in place. They are coming due, available in August, maybe September, August, September of this year. The original idea was the Wellness Center would be done, and then we would start right into the dining room. We would close the dining room. We knew that the bistro would be able to support some meals, but would not be able to support all of our residents. So we were still going to have to modify some kind of dining service, whether that was going to be in the resident lounge, whether that was going to be in the living room. We didn't know. We just knew there was going to be some additional modification. Dining room would close. We would have to move those services somewhere to support all of our residents. So today they shared with us, they confirmed with us that we had two choices. We can either start the dining room renovation with the original team that we contracted to get, and that'll be in the August, September timeframe, or we can wait till May, which is when, in theory, the bistro will be open. The bistro's going to open in the end of April right now. So we can start in May. And so there's a lot of issues related to delaying until May. The dining room renovation, best case scenario, is about 10.5 months. Worst case scenario, 12 months. So a year. So real quick, I'm going to take a second. How many people are tired of construction? Okay, well, not too bad. I only got a third of you. Well, we're already tired of construction. So the question comes down to, what do we do? Do we keep with the plan to say, all right, once the wellness center's up and running, the bistro's up and running, we will start the dining room renovation, which means the dining room will close in May, take about a year, so it'll be completed, let's just say April of 23. Still understanding when we do that, we will still have some impact. The dining room, we still have to provide services, whether it's in this living room or in the resident lounge, as I said, or something. We will start to do something about that. Or do we start it earlier, and we start it in August or September, again, moving those services to another area, and having the project wrapped up sometime around the summer, August of next year. Best case scenario, May, June. Worst case scenario, August, September. So from no emotions and no thinking as it relates to the impact on you, the residents, we have an easy answer. You go ahead and start it. You go ahead and start it. You start it for all those reasons I mentioned. Get it over with. Get it done. Because if we wait and start it in May, we are going to have, starting probably around next May, June, July, we're already going to have people starting coming online from the construction out there, which is going to add about another 100 people to our community. And that's okay, because they don't know any different, so they're just walking in and it's what it is. But that's another 100 people that are going to be needing services. So if they come on and we're delayed the dining room, then you're gonna be under that scenario, they're gonna be under that scenario till probably again, April of '23. So, Ed, to answer your question, we are at a crossroads. We are at a decision to decide, do we move forward with going ahead and closing the dining room down in August, September of this year, do what we were going to do anyway, move those dining services into either the living room and or the resident lounge. And the team has been working on ideas of how to make this happen. And they're coming up with some good concepts. Not ready to share with them yet because we haven't vetted everything out. So we go ahead and do that with the understanding the Wellness Center will be open at the end of March. Dining room will then be open hopefully sometime around August, September of next year, worst case. That's where we are. If we decide to wait, then really we've done a lot of things. We've delayed the start of the construction. We'll continue to be under construction. I just had a resident today tell me that, you know, selfishly, I hope I'm here when all this is done, right? It's a fair comment. Hey, I hope I'm here. It's a fair comment. It's kind of like, you know, when you're renovating your house, some of y'all, I've told this story probably about 4 years ago, and you don't have to raise your hands. How many of y'all living in your house, and when y'all came to move here, and when you went to sell your house, how many of your houses were still stuck back in the 70s and 80s? When they came through, they're like, oh, shag carpet, oh, pink walls. Now that stuff's coming back in style, I will tell you that. But a lot of people sit there and they just kind of grow into their house. This is what I'm used to. But then when you go to sell the house, the realtor comes and says, ooh, you need to change out the carpet. You need to paint the walls. You need to put a new roof on. You need to do this. You need to make it more of an open concept. That's what we're doing. We're renovating our house. When is a great time to renovate your house? Never. Never. So I am sorry that we are renovating your home today. I'm very sorry. It is never a good time. I will tell you, it is our personal belief and feelings that we need to get through this project as soon as possible. And it is going to be management's recommendation that we start the dining room as soon as we possibly can. That's our professional opinion. So the decision has not been made. However, as I've told you before, everybody cannot be at the table for the conversation. But I do want to hear your opinions. I want your feedback. I will bring that to, I've already started the feedback because I've already heard from several of y'all, so I brought it up today when I was talking to them. But I really do. Do y'all want to extend the project, live under its conditions, or do you want to get it over with? If I promise you one thing, we'll do everything in our powers to make the conditions that you're under as it relates to the dining room area, as far as whether it's in here, which I don't think it'll be in here because we got the aerobics and everything else, or the resident lounge. If we do it in a way that can satisfy you, most of you, that it'll be still a good experience. So I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to ask for any comments or feedback. Yeah, so that's the long story of where we are with the dining room.
Just a question.
It's not working, Teresa.
Just a question, does the dining room work, will the dining room work have any impact on the food preparation area?
Will the dining room work have, I don't need to repeat because you just said it, sorry, I'm used to repeating the question. It's not supposed to. 90% of the food is made in the kitchen. Everything we're doing is not impacting the kitchen. There is a little room where the bistro kind of runs out of. And so what we are moved, Carly and Donna have been working on changing how we do food delivery in our healthcare center. It used to be on a tray line. We're actually going to be moving the food over to the health center for more of a dignity type dining program. That's supposed to take place in the next couple months. When we do that, we'll be able to move the bistro line back in the kitchen. The only work that we have in the kitchen is we had to redo all the exhaust hoods. They were 25 years old, so we're going to go ahead and try to knock that out pretty quickly. That is separate from everything else we're doing. When we do that, the kitchen will be closed, Donna, for about a week. This has nothing to do with construction. It's something that's just been 25 years old, we got to fix it. So we'll figure that out, but no, it should not have any impact on the dining room. on the kitchen, I'm sorry.
Arnie, I've been at 2 gatherings recently where this subject came up, and I was asked to write something to present to you. So here it is. At the May 26th Resident Association meeting, there was a comment made about wasteful spending. One example mentioned was setting up the medical clinic in the wellness center, and within a comparatively short period of time, tearing it down and moving the clinic to independent living apartment 1112. I believe you said that move was a hard decision, but in retrospect, you think it was the right decision, considering the whole picture. Sometimes decisions like that need to be made because of all factors affected, not just the bottom line. Do you remember saying you don't care until you care? Well, I am caring now, ahead of time, as I think you prefer. I am suggesting you make another decision that could be considered similar to the one already mentioned. I am asking Friends Homes West to make at least 1, if not 2 or more adjacent assisted living rooms for couples by installing a door between the rooms. When residents face the reality of needing an additional level of care, this can be a very traumatic and emotional time, potentially affecting their health. But being able to live almost like they did in their independent living apartment could reduce their stress level considerably. Being able to visit each other without having to dress, in quotes, to go out into the public hallway could help their adjustment. The door must be lockable on both sides to protect the privacy of a single resident when one or both of the rooms would be used by individuals. Please consider including such expense in the upcoming year's budget. And as soon as the budget's approved, have the doors installed. As soon as the budget is approved, have the doors installed. Thank you in advance for considering the future needs of current residents. Marketing has said more than once that current residents are a great recommendation for them to use. So please take care of current residents.
Yes, sir. Thank you. So, thank you, Gordon, because I did get your letter. I'm sorry I didn't respond back to you prior to this meeting, so I'm glad you were able to read that. So in reference to that, that has been on the table on a couple occasions as far as consideration. It just came up again here recently within the last 6 weeks, Donna. So put things in perspective. Money aside, and I really do mean this, money aside. So to convert a room 5 years ago was $6,000, and now I think it's $11,000, $12,000. So there's some things to consider, and that's where I'm going to need y'all holistically to help out. One is, and I'm going to digress, part of our long-term master plan, this was brought up, and that is part of what we're going to do. But as I hear from y'all time and time again, that's great, but that doesn't help me today. So long term, we're going to address it. In the short term, here's where the concern comes in, is when you put one of those doors in between 2 rooms, you got a couple factors you have to keep in mind. One is when a couple is ready to take advantage of that, there cannot be anybody in those rooms. So unless you're going to keep those rooms open for a couple when they come, then now you're put in a position because someone's now calling that their home, and you go, oh, you've got to move because we got a couple here. So I just want to put, I don't want to be in a debate back and forth, but I just want to tell you some of the things so you can think about this. So one is, how do you have these couple rooms and keep them occupied, waiting for a time for someone's ready to use them? Because keeping them unoccupied is not really an option because we need to keep them occupied. Okay, that's one. The second biggest issue relates to the door itself. As far as, it depends on where the rooms are and where the configuration, where it goes, but it is on the main wall. And in some rooms, the wall's okay. Sometimes it's right in the middle. And if you've been into our assisted living rooms, they're not that big. And actually, part of our master plan is to make these rooms bigger. But right now, they're not that big. So when you take out part of the main wall where you put your furniture, whatever the case may be, not as a couple, but as an individual that's in that room that's not trying to use that second room. So one of the issues that's come up when we talked about this for people that are not in the couple situation is that sense of privacy. Just like when you go to a hotel, this may apply to some of you, may not apply to others. It does apply to my wife, it does not bother me. When I go into a hotel room where there's a shared room, I could care less because I got that lock, drives my wife crazy. The thought of someone being on the other side of that door, it just drives her crazy. So long term, I'm trying to tell you, it's not an easy decision. However, what we have done on 2 scenarios is we have gave the person that wanted those couple units the option of doing it. And they paid for it. They paid for it. So there's an option there. And we actually just made that offer again 3 weeks ago. Yeah. So I will tell you that I will take it back. We're starting our budget process now. We will go through this consideration again. It has been vetted. It has been considered. If you have any more thoughts that you'd like to add, any of y'all like to add to that to say, you know, it's not a problem. We're all for that. Or it doesn't matter if I'm in there. If a couple wants it, I'm okay moving. Run it up through the resident board, the committees. Let it make sure it gets to us so that we can have consideration. I think Donna wants to say something.
Yeah, there's one more thing that
Okay.
you didn't cover, maybe because you don't know, but because of how the rooms are licensed, each room is licensed, therefore each room has to have a bed. So even by doing that, the way they're licensed, each room would still have to have a bed. So when you were addressing the furniture, you still have to have a bed in each room.
I'm going to tell you, the regulations that we're under, you cannot appreciate. So thank you for sharing that, Donna.
If you were willing to do it, if the residents were willing to pay, that fact, would apply. And they were willing, So Gordon, it's an option. I guess what I'm saying is, if you have that situation, you want to use that situation, we can do that for you. Where we were hesitant to do it in advance is, one, keeping those rooms open until a couple comes along and says they want it, and also the issue of those people that don't want to be in a room where there's a door that's taking up their hallway. That's been our sticking point. So we felt like we made a decision to say, we can work with you on, not you, we can work with you on this. You can do this. It's your choice. But doing it in advance, we felt like would cause more problems, as I just mentioned. But if you have any more thoughts, please share that, and I promise you we'll bring it up again for consideration. I would hope that the hall chairs would bring that up in each of their halls.
So the comment is, I hope the hall chairs will bring that up in each of their halls to get feedback. Okay, thank you. Other questions? Or comments? Teresa?
Arnie, I'm Dorothy Sinclair,
Yes, ma'am.
and, let's see, let me get my tickets. Saturday, last Saturday, I had $245 on my ticket. And last night, on my new ballot, I had $907. How
Yes,
did that happen?
it's magic. It's magic.
I know that one week I was away because my daughter was here and they could not go to the dining room, so we ate out every night.
Right.
And that, that added up, but not that much.
Yeah, I've got a good answer, and if you want to talk after this, I'll be more than happy to talk to you about this. Is that we're on a quarterly allotment, and everybody's got a different time frame. So by you telling me that, your quarterly ended May 31st, and it started on June 1st. So you just got your new quarter's worth of allowance. So you just got a whole bunch of money to use. And I'll talk to you afterwards. Okay, thank you.
Tell me, why couldn't this dining room renovation taking place when the dining room was shut down for a year?
Amen, 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 amen. Okay, so, yeah, hindsight being 2020, the big answer, two big answers. We didn't have the team, we didn't have the staff. Everybody was already pushed out, so Landmark did not have the team. And the whole thing to get the materials and everything else, we, just being honest, when COVID started coming along, we really didn't know what we were, for a budget, we did budget for 6 months of being through COVID, through March. But we were focused on COVID. And so we talked about in hindsight, that would be the best time to do it. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Teresa's not helping me here. Hold on a second.
When we move to the living room, will the living room be full of tables and not able to use for any other services?
So, real quick, no decisions have been made. We have been and continue to work on contemplating different ideas, what it looks like. As I just shared with you, one of the things when we talk about using the living room, we got a little nervous about that because this is our gathering spot. Then we talked about the resident lounge, which is used, but not necessarily throughout the day. So we said, well, can we set it up for meals and then turn around and open it back up as a resident lounge? So we're going through the whole process. I will tell you, I want your feedback. But we got a meeting on Friday. We're meeting with a lot of people to talk about the pros and cons and how it looks. As soon as we get some more information, I promise you I'll share with you. But I don't feel comfortable going through the details because I haven't heard all the details yet. Other questions? Yes, sir. She's coming.
When you set us up for the equivalent of $10 a day for dining purposes, why are you, if we decide to use it for other purposes, the money's going to go down per day? I don't see why that was necessary.
Okay, good question. I will tell you, you know this, I'm a financial person. So if I've been told once, I've been told 20 times, you cannot easily explain anything related to money. I complicate things. So I'm not going to try to even explain it as how I want to explain it. I'm just going to share this with you. Here is the facts. The facts are your contract is a dining program. It's an equivalent of a meal a day. That's all it is. When we went through this process, we had you in mind, believe it or not. And we were trying to accomplish several things. What we were trying to accomplish is we wanted to give you more choice and variety and control of how you spend your money. So when you go into the dining room, whether you got a piece of toast or you got the whole enchilada, it was one meal. So we said we want to do a la carte, so you only pay for what you get, and you can actually take it home with you now. That was another thing we heard from y'all. The other issue, what we heard was this whole concept of you use it or lose it. You know, at the end of the month, yes, I can roll over 2 meals, I can use them for 2 guests, but you know, it caused a lot of stress. So we expanded it. We said, all right, we'll give you 3 months because people travel, people maybe just don't want to go down and eat. So we expanded the program there. So when we did the price point, because really, it's funny, what I'm hearing most from our residents now is, I got too much money. I need to use it. How do I use it? And I'm like, well, eat more food. Go from a 1 meal to 2 meal. And like, well, I want money back. It's the same program that you had pre-April. Your fees didn't go up, nothing changed. The only thing is now we give you more control on how to use it. So if you don't use it, yes, you lose it over a 3-month period. The new contract that we're doing, which again, everybody here will be eligible, if they so want, for the new contract. I will recommend that you need to wait a while to just see how this all plays out. But the new contract gives you more flexibility. So with that flexibility, you got more choices, more options. And with that, you don't get the $300 that's only for meals or $10 per day. You get $230, but you can now use it for your guests. You can use it for housekeeping. You can use it for transportation. It's just, and it was priced that way to make sure that what we're charging will cover the cost. So that's a very high level comment. So you will have a choice down the road, but right now, the original residents are under a dining program, and we priced it, hopefully, to accommodate the majority of residents so that they have extra money if they so want to spend. Yes, sir.
Do you anticipate having guests for lunch, for meals?
Yes, a great question. So initially, Nick, you're talking about opening the dining room back up, correct? Okay, good, okay. Initially, we were optimistic when we were thinking June 1st, and that was yesterday. So there's two things going on. We're getting closer than we were yesterday to open it back up for our guests. How many people remember what the dining room was like that first week in April? Right? My wife calls this a permanent memory. It's a little chaotic, right? So I will tell you, I truly believe where we are today with our dining program is a heck of a lot better than where we were the first week in April. The staff, we're still in the process of hiring staff, getting them trained on how to wait. The services, Nick is doing a good job training the cooks, working on consistency issues, things like that. We want to make sure our house is in order before you start bringing your loved ones and guests in, so that we can make sure that we can still accommodate and give you the service that you deserve. We are very close. The other thing that we have been a little hesitant on of opening up, and I don't want to put Don on the spot, but I don't think it'll be in the month of June, but maybe in July, maybe. All right, I'm not putting it on the spot. But we are sitting there thinking about that it's coming, but we're also monitoring the positivity rate has gone down. We are down, well, I mean, but it's still below 5%. All right, the average is still below 5%. We just hit Memorial Weekend, so you're going to have a spike. We're still waiting. There's variants out there. We're just making sure that we are kind of truly coming out of this before we go gangbusters. So two things going on. We will open the dining room soon. That's a relative term. Soon. Once we know we've got our house in order to make sure that we can serve you properly and from a dining experience, and also ensure that we're not going to be in another COVID type situation where we're going to have to go back into lockdown. Yes, ma'am.
If we decide, if the current residents decide on going to the new contract and it doesn't work for us, can we go back to the old one?
That's a great question. Technically, no. It's not. This is not a. It's not really. It's because it's a contract amendment, and you know, we're going to adhere to the contract, but we are going to give our existing residents that option. That's why I want you to be patient to make sure you know is this the right thing to do. But if you do go to a new contract, you will be amending your current contract, so it's a legal document. So it's not really going back and forth. New people coming in don't have a choice. This is our new program going forward, what we're offering today. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. This fall is a follow-up to that, and in our residents meeting, you alluded to the fact that maybe you needed to talk to people like us about the new contract. If we want to consider it, how do we go about considering it, or do we meet with you? What do we do?
So what I like to do, if at all possible, and again, when I say patience, that I know is relative, is I am monitoring our existing residents' utilization of their meals. And so I can tell if going to a new contract makes sense for you or not. I would like to at least get through a cycle, a true 3-month cycle, to see how people's spending habits are. Right now, I am thinking about having a meeting sometime in September of this year to residents that might want to consider going to a new contract. I will be inviting those in particular that I see are not fully utilizing their meal allotment. It's going to be open to anybody that wants to come, but I will invite the people that I see could benefit from this. They will come, and we will look at trying to change it over sometime in the first part of October. I've had a couple residents that do not eat at all in our dining room for whatever reason. And yes, I made an exception for them because it was a no-brainer. But what I told people is, you just got started with the program, just give it a couple months. And because you can always go at it later, but like she was asking, it's not to go back and forth. So I just want to make sure you make that decision you're making a decision based upon data.
Last year, obviously, we were shut down because of COVID, which I will not blame you for. But we didn't have a lot of it. We didn't have a lot of services. We were basically shut down. Yet you collected an increased fee last year. Are you planning on doing the same thing and at the same time denying us some of these services?
Okay, good question. You were on vacation, so you were at the meeting last week. That very good question came up, and I'm gonna give you the Reader's Digest version. Yes, we will still be doing an increase. The goal is to be consistent as the increases have been in the past, which is 3%. One of the things that I shared when I shared the financials for the 6 months, although the services have been limited, when you still look at where we are financially, we are actually having one of our worst years compared to where we've been in the past. COVID has impacted us, both for people moving in, increasing costs, you name it. The bigger thing, and I shared this when it came up last week, to put things in perspective, is I mentioned earlier, we have a staffing issue. And it's not just Friends Homes, it's everywhere. So I shared last week that Friends Homes turnover last year was 45%, right? Yeah, we got that reaction last week too. Now, that's actually pretty good in our industry. It's pretty good. What we're struggling with is getting people to come to work, come for what we actually pay, and stay. People are being very competitive. I mean, Chick-fil-A pays more than we do. And so when you look at people trying to survive, I wrote down some numbers. Last year, the living wage for Guilford County was $11.40. And last year, we were able to bump up our starting rate for the lowest paid jobs to $11.50. This year, Guilford County's living wage is $14.34. So somehow it jumped up almost $3. So to put that in perspective, in order for us to take our current employees that are below the $14.34, it will cost us an additional $350,000. That's a heck of a lot more than a 3% increase. That's probably more like a 6 or 8, 9% increase. I'm not going to do that to you. So, but where we might have some limited services, again, being a community, and we want to be served, and we want to have support, and we want to have long-term employees, any monies that I can find, and believe me, I am looking under every rock I can, still trying to be respectful, but trying to maintain a consistent increase from year to year, we're putting back into our program. We're a nonprofit. I can't say that enough. You chose to come to a nonprofit. What that means is we don't have stockholders. That doesn't mean Arnie's getting CEO bonuses. None of that. Every money we make goes back into our program. And where we've been putting our money for the last 4 years, back into wages. We've done some additional services, but we're putting it back into wages to get those. We were at $8.50, maybe $9 when I started here in 2016. And we're at $11.50. It's been a slow process. So yes, there's going to be a rate increase next year, and there'll be one the year after that, and the year after that. I'm sorry if that offends you, but I also am not going to lie to you. We are putting it back to good use, because if I know you care about one thing, it's our staff. And so we are trying to help them where we can. Thanks for the question. Yes, sir. Let's use the microphone.
Under the amended contract, did you say that the $10 a day would, or $300 a month would go down to $230?
Yeah, so the new contract is not a meal program. It's a service allowance. So what you get is $230 a day, a month. And you can use it however you want to use it. You can use it on meals, you can use it on the guest room, you can use it on transportation, housekeeping, guests. Yeah, it's more flexible.
One other question. We're asked every year to give to this Employees Assistance Fund, but we never see the results of it. We never see how it's used. Are there any figures showing the number of people we help and the amount they spent in this fund?
Yes, sir. Now I'll make sure you're talking about the Employee Appreciation Fund, right? Not the
I'm talking about the employee assistant, not the employee, I'm sorry, the resident's assistant.
Okay, very good. So that's why I'm glad you clarified that. I'm not gonna put Ted on the spot here, but about a year and a half ago, Ted, and with others, it was actually some others, approached about how do we communicate more as it relates to the residents' financial assistance, right? And we actually presented that at our Wednesday meeting, last Wednesday, the semi-annual. It was presented, the numbers were presented. So for about a year now, we have been tracking monies that are coming in, and then also the support that's given out and where those investments are. And I don't know, we're at $14 million, I believe, approximately is how much money is in our investments accounts to support residents' financial assistance. And this past quarter, I believe we did about $180,000 to $200,000 of residents' assistance to about 14 people. So there is a form, and I might be wrong, it might be included as part of either the semi-annual meeting or in future meetings. But we are tracking that now quarterly, and it's going to be reported probably at the resident council meeting or something. So good question. But we heard y'all loud and clear that you wanted more transparency as it relates to that. Before I come to you, is there anybody else that has a question? Okay, let's make sure. I could talk to you all day long, but I want to make sure everybody has time.
Does that 14 million apply to independent living alone?
No, that's a great question. That 14 million is for independent and assisted living. When you're under skilled nursing, you're under Medicaid. So it's independent and assisted living.
And the amount of current expense, that was recent?
The 200,000?
Assisted and independent?
That is independent, assisted, and a little bit of skilled. Not everybody's on Medicaid. That's a long story, but it's a culmination. It's for all of Friends Homes, and it's for the continuum. It's for all 3 levels of care. Any other questions?
Are you applying for any funds for COVID-19 reimbursement?
Oh, yes. The government, now, look, I gotta be smart on my response. The government has been very good to us. But where do you think that money comes from? Yeah. And all these people are saying, woo-hoo, I'm like, we're going to end up paying this back somehow, some way. No, we have been receiving a significant amount of money to help us as it relates to offsetting our testing, because that's probably the biggest cost we've had is testing. Whether it's doing weekly, every 2 weeks, $70,000, $80,000 a month for testing. So we've been getting offsetting calls for that. We've received some supplies related to that. We've had to open up COVID wings. We really didn't get a lot of support for that, but the government has been providing support. So when I shared the comment about our financials, that this is probably one of the worst years as far as how we did, that's taking into consideration all the money we got from the government. So without them, it would have been really bad. But I got to tell you something very interesting. Now they're coming back and they're tracking it. They want to see how we're spending it, like 15 months later. And I'm going to give Don and Missy kudos though, because if you know them, they document, which is very good. Because the government, if they don't have documentation, they'll start clawing it back. I got a couple of things to talk about, but are there any other comments or questions? You can always ask later. I'm going to talk for a little bit. If you got a question, raise your hand and I will shut up and come to you. So let me tell you something kind of exciting. First of all, let me tell you something where we hear you, we heard you. How many people love the sustainability charge? Ooh, the $1 for your takeout or 50 cents for your piece of chicken when you left the dining room. There was actually good logic behind that. But sometimes good logic doesn't prevail in the minds of, this doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel right. So we met last week to give feedback on the dining program, what's working, what's not working. Talked about a lot of things, but one of the things that clearly we decided on was the right thing to do is we've clawed back the charge for takeout containers, whether that's for delivery, the $1, or if you're in the dining room, you have meals left over and you want to take it out at 50 cents, that's gone. As of June 1st, we no longer charge that. So Thank you for your patience with us as we worked through that, but we heard you resoundingly over the past 8 weeks, so that has been pulled back. Another thing that got brought up, which I thought was a really good idea, is with the new construction and with everything that's been going on over the last year and a half, let's do a time capsule. Let's do a time capsule, and whether it's in the wellness center or in a villa or something, let's pull some things together that 25, 50, 75 years from now, other people are going to pull out and go, look at what was going on back in 2021, right? And I know all of us have different ideas what that may look like or what you will put in there, but my understanding from talking to Teresa that she's going to get together with residents at both campuses on trying to figure out what can we put in this time capsule. So maybe we'll do a little ceremony or something. So I thought that was kind of a neat idea. Donna and Missy continuing to work on finalizing the resident handbook. So can I say July? July. We think we're going to have it in July. Now I'm not going to tell you which year. I'm not going to tell you which year. But we think July is the magic month that we're going to have a resident handbook completed. So very excited about that. Okay, let's talk about safety for a second. Do not walk on the bridge. And I don't know if any of you have been out walking on the bridge, but we had someone the other day who was in security. We think this one was a neighbor. But please, for the love of God, do not go down. You will, in time, soon, you will be able to walk on the bridge. But yes, so sometimes the contractors are leaving the gates open. We talked about that today to remind them. But if the gate is open, please don't go in there. It's uneven terrain. There's holes. It's just not safe. So please be respectful of that area. The other thing I want to remind you is please do not prop doors open. We still have people that prop doors open and then they disappear. Where they're going, I do not know. And then I have to hear from 20 people going, the door's open. Someone propped the door open. So please do not prop the door open. If not, yes, ma'am.
The housekeepers prop the door open while they're in your apartment.
I apologize. Thank you. You're talking about housekeepers when they're in your apartment. I'm sorry. I'm talking about the exterior doors. I'm so sorry. I should be clear on that. The outside doors, we're still above campuses, people are propping the doors open. Some cases it's contractors. We have cameras at all the doors, so we can find you. We will figure out who it is. And we jump on them, and we can tell them not to come back. We can't tell you that. So if you can help me, make sure we don't prop doors open, if not for your safety, but at least for the other residents. All right. Okay, how many people loved the photo release form that we asked you to sign to give your life away, to allow us to put it on the billboard going down I-40? And no offense to attorneys, which I am not one. Hopefully I will never need one. But so that is a legal document. And the first thing that I saw, whether you saw it or not, is you were referred to as patient. How good does that make you feel? Right? It's a HIPAA form. And HIPAA is a medical release form. So yes, in HIPAA's eyes, you are a patient. So that was not trying. I heard from several residents that was disrespectful. We're residents, we're not patients. Yes, I know. But the attorney wrote that, and it's a legal document. And as you read it, if you were not confused by it, I want to talk to you because it took me 20 times to read it to understand what it actually was asking. But I want to get down to the crux of what the purpose of that form is. At the end of the day, we want to be able to show your picture for a variety of reasons. Right now, if we take a picture, even right now, if they took a picture right now, we would have to get a release form. Even if we want to put something in the hallway showing Arnie's chats, 50 residents attended, we would have to get a photo release form from every one of you to do that. That is ridiculous. But that's the way it works. So they pulled together a form for us that allows us to do that. 95% of what we're going to use your pictures for are all in here. It's in-house, whether it's in the newsletter, it's on a billboard, it's a memorial thing. I've heard so many residents say when someone passes, like, I'm not good with names, or I see the name, but I don't know who that is. So to even put your picture, I don't want anybody to go anytime soon, but to put your picture by a memorial announcement, all these different things, allows us to do that without having to get a release form that really was only good for that time period. Now, selfishly, do we want to use your picture? Yes, we do, for other reasons. And no, not on a billboard on I-40. We have been pushing really hard for social media. If you're not on the internet, social media is a big thing. Facebook, I'm not a social, Instagram, I don't know these things, TikTok, whatever. But what we got back is where we get the biggest response from people that become curious about Friends Homes is not when they see my beautiful face, is when they see your beautiful face, when they see you living, when they see you in activities or participating in a program. That's the feedback we're getting. Less of management, less construction renderings, more about the life at Friends Homes. So this photo release allows us, only certain people can take a picture that will go to marketing, that will go to our social media. So, and I'm not one of those people, so only certain people, it'd be a couple staff and maybe one or two designated residents. If we take your picture and we want to use it, because like I said, we're showing a program, we'll make sure that you signed the form, you gave us permission, we will turn it over to marketing. Marketing will recheck it again, and then they will put it out there for a period of time. It's not there forever and a day. Although if you go to our website, there's some people in this room that have been on our website for a while now. But so the form is very intimidating. I heard from some of y'all, I'm not signing it, I'm not signing my life away, and I totally respect that. I just want to share with you, it's not the man coming in and is going to abuse your photos or what you're doing. It's really trying to give you more of what's going on in your Friends and showcase life here at Friends Homes. So I've heard some feedback on that, so I want to make sure I put a shout out. Any questions? Got a question in the back?
As I read the release form, I was signing away my entire privacy, including my medical statements. There was a line on there, including medical reports. I don't think asking us to have faith in you
I understand.
is a big ask.
Yes, ma'am.
When we're asked to sign away in print all of that information. I think it should be reworked.
Thank you. Well, that was a 2-year process to get to what we got there. I thank you for, you know what? I missed that. Because I do not recall that. So thank you for sharing. I will go back and look at that. And you're right. I'm asking you to trust me, but you're also, it's a 10-year form. So you're also asking the next person that might be standing up here to trust them as well too. But I will tell you, our intention is good, which I know that can get you in trouble sometimes. And we're trying to do it by the letter of the law. And the letter of the law, per the attorney, is we have to fill out that form. But I will go back and look at that. So thank you for pointing that out. I want to share some other good feedback, not feedback, but just some exciting things happening. We were talking about employees early on. We just had our service awards for our employees for Friends Homes a couple weeks ago, and we celebrated 47 employees that were celebrating 5-year increment anniversaries. We actually had one that was 40 years. 40 years. We had over 570 years of service in a room. We were there for 2 hours, and the department team got up, and for each of these 47 men and women, they told a story about them and why they were special. It was the most moving, humbling, just appreciative moment, because I hear from you time and time again how fortunate we are to have the team we did. You just told me today about Amy. You know, we are truly blessed that we have a lot of good people that come to Friends Homes that want to be here, that want to work with you and for you. And so I share that to tell you that if you know of anyone, I know this is not a plug for marketing, this is more a plug for staffing. If you know of anyone that has kids or grandkids or anybody that is looking for a job or might be interested to come to work for truly a community in a home, please send them our way. Because just like marketing, you could be our best advertisement to recruit somebody to come and work for our family. So I want to put a plug out there for helping us with our staffing. All right, a couple other things. Questions, all right, let's see. Okay, so currently we are installing a new check-in system. We're going to be moving away from the beautiful magnet system that we've had for some time. And this check-in system is a process where you have to push a button. Now, I know most of you, when you wake up in the morning, the first thing you're thinking about is, I want to push a button. So there's some pros and cons to it. The biggest con is you got to push a button. But the pro is, and you can elect to either be in this program or not. Because guess what you are? You're independent. So you have a choice. But we're going to put it in each of your apartments. And what it's going to do, and I don't have the specifics of the time frame it monitors, but every morning between a certain time period, I'm going to say 6 a.m. and 12 p.m., it's going to be looking for you to see if you push that button. If you do not push that button, it's going to generate a report. And that report is going to go to our security team. And that security team will then follow up to make sure you're okay. That follow-up will include a phone call. They may come to your apartment to do a welfare check. But it is a way for us to know, at least once a day, that you're okay. A lot of y'all have the buddy system, and I really appreciate that and respect that. If someone's paper is out on the floor, or someone's magnet hasn't been turned, or I haven't seen this person in a while, you tell us. I appreciate that. But people change, things change. People go on vacation. So I want to share with you, we put this in at Guilford. We had about a 50-50 sign up because a lot of people didn't want to do it. But if not for your peace of mind, for your family's peace of mind. Because there's nothing worse than a family member coming 2 days later saying, well, where's mom? And we don't know. Because again, you're independent. You can go tomorrow and go to the beach. Some of you tell us, some of you do not. But if we had the system in place, at least you know once a day that you will be checked on by someone at Friends Home. So when that does come out, I do want to encourage you to strongly, you can opt out of it, sign up for it. If for some reason you got a problem, or if you forget in the morning to push the button, that's okay. Because guess what? We're going to check on you. And so it's just peace of mind. I want to talk about the staff vaccine. I told you residents are doing very well. We continue to have vaccine clinics. We're a little bit over 60% now as Friends Homes for staff. And you might think, is that good or bad? Well, we were at 40%. So 60% is kind of the norm. You may have just heard that they just came out that now we can require the vaccine for our employees. There's pros and cons to that. One, I told you we've got major staffing issues. The 40% of people that have not taken a vaccine for their own reasons believe they don't want to take the vaccine. So to tell them you're required to take a vaccine, I'll see you later. We can't afford that right now. One of the things we are talking about is requiring it for new people coming on board. So as we're hiring people to make sure they are vaccinated. I will tell you, Donna and Missy have done I keep talking about both campuses. Donna's done a great job promoting to our staff why they need to be vaccinated. And every time we have a clinic, we have more people, I think 10 or 12 signed up last time. So we're getting there, but continue to encourage staff. It is great to be here without a mask. Most of the people that you're going to see day to day are vaccinated. But again, we still got about 40% that we're working on. We're still trying to find ways to encourage.
I just want to clarify, in case there's questions about mask wearing, in healthcare, which is assisted living and nursing, every employee, vaccinated or not, vaccination status does not matter, must wear a mask. I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. And if you see thank you, Donna. And if you see someone wearing a mask in independent living, don't assume that they're not vaccinated. Because I know Donna, for a while, you were still wearing your mask, but you still got your mask. There are a lot of people that are vaccinated that still want to wear it for whatever reason. So we need to respect that. So don't assume if you see a mask, that means they're not vaccinated. That's sometimes not the case. I got a couple more things. I know Teresa's getting nervous. I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. Couple more things. Construction. I shared with you about the wellness center. I told you we're gonna be talking about the dining room on Friday. The bridge, technically it's gonna be finished up in the next month, but the final pavement won't be done until next summer because we don't have access to that bridge until next year. But the project's going well, no more blasting, thank goodness. We're now taking people to the pool at River Landing, so we've been very appreciative of that. Teresa continues to try to find people even closer by that might be willing to open their pool to us, but a lot of people are still under restrictions, but we're thankful that River Landing has opened their pool to us. I think she just took the first one yesterday. We got another one on Friday. Capital campaign, I mentioned before, we're doing a capital campaign. Not all of you, but some of you have asked about how to participate in that. And probably coming in September, Sarah and I are going to be actually coming to the various hall chairs, the monthly hall chair meetings, to talk to you a little bit about the capital campaign, where we are, where we're going, and to see if you would like to participate in the successful completion of reaching our goal there. Annual giving campaign is going very well. We have a goal this year for residents' financial assistance of $150,000. And we have a kickoff, is it the 30th year? Okay, 30th. So on June 30th, from 1 to 3, we're doing not the cookies with Santa, but ice cream social, right? For the annual giving campaign. So I think you've got some music, got some fun. Teresa, got a DJ, so it should be fun. It's time to celebrate. So, yeah, so I hope we'll see you there. The last two things I have, and then I open up for questions again. A landscape plan. One of the things that I've heard both with Guilford and West for some time is, can you just tell us when you do what you do, and not me, but the landscaping, like when they trim, when they mow, when do you put mulch out, when do they seed? We're working on a 12-month landscape plan. And then we're going to go through the grounds committee, we're going to make sure they feel comfortable with it, and then we're going to share it with you. Because if you talk to Steve Ruth, who's our ground supervisor, he loves nothing more than a resident coming up to him going, you need to trim that crepe myrtle, and it may be June. And I'm understanding you don't trim crepe myrtles in June, but that person believes you trim them in June. So we're going to make sure we have a plan, that the grounds committee buys off on that plan, and then we're going to share it with you so you know what our program is. And the last thing I have for you is a request to, again, participate. This is your home, this is your community. So if you're not part of one of the many committees that are here at Friends Homes, if you don't participate in your hall meetings, if you don't participate in the resident council, I recommend that you start, because you will not believe how many times I have someone come to me telling me, well, I didn't know anything about that. And I'm like, are you reading Donna's minutes? Are you going to meetings? Well, no. It's being communicated. We're talking about it. And you have a voice. And I want your voice to be heard, but not after the fact. So come to those meetings, participate, so that everybody can be heard, and that when we make the decisions, we're hopefully making them on a global scale. So I've got maybe 7 minutes, and I'll open it up for questions. She's coming to you.
I have one final question, and since it involves death, I guess it should be final. When a resident dies, we always just get the date of their death. Is it possible we could have some kind of short biographical sketch there, maybe to know a little bit more about the person?
So I will tell you, I will write that down. And here's the thing. It's interesting you're asking that. So one of the things that Donna and Linda and Robin are working on is meeting with residents now about trying to know what you want when you're not in a state of crisis. Because the last thing you want when you're in a state of crisis is telling you what we can't do or what you should have done. So I'm going to make that, I'll write that down, but we need your permission to do those things. Because some of it's personal. Some people don't want you to know squat. Other people, they won't tell them the whole story. So it might be just even the obituary, because that's public information. But yes, I'll bring that up, because I think for me, I'm one of those people, I'm awful with names. I'm awful. And when I see someone that's passed or see something, I do, 9 times I go to Donna and say, Donna, please show me a picture. And I look at them, oh my gosh, I didn't, and so to just have that, because we are a family. And when you see someone one day and you don't see them the next, we need to communicate that, right, in the story. So I'll make a note of that. Any other, yes ma'am.
With regard to the photo release form, is it gonna be a do-over?
So, I don't know, and here's the reason why. I'm not kidding you when I say that's 1.5 years. I mean, you don't understand. We are in a weird world from a legal standpoint, and risk management and stuff like that. It's not like it used to be. I am going to go back, I'm going to look for that comment. I will bring it up. This was a global thing. This release form is not just Friends Homes. It's being used by a lot of communities because we've all had the same issue. So we can't start bastardizing it and changing things without it being approved. So I will ask. But if anybody has any concerns that wants to retract, you always have that right. I mean, even if you sign it, you can always, but as long as I'm here, I promise you, the goal is not to misuse it. It's really to showcase life at Friends Homes. And mainly we're focused on independent living. I need you to be aware of that. We are super sensitive about healthcare. So I don't want to put down on the spot, but I will dare say, if you're in independent living and you go to healthcare, we are really looking at this photo release as independent living. We're not really going down the hallways of healthcare, snapping pictures of people from a dignity standpoint and everything else. So really we're focused on life at Friends Homes and independent living. We do take pictures in healthcare, but those are usually more private, like parties or something like that. This photo release really is focused on independent living.
Do you have any plans to put out a new picture directory?
I will write that down as well. So the question was, do you have any plans to put out a new picture directory? So, when you go the free route, it usually takes like 12 months to actually get it back. So it's always funny, by the time you put it out, sometimes you have people that weren't here and vice versa. But yeah, we'll look at that again. And then you can do updates. I think the last time we did it, it's since I've been here, so it's been about 4 years ago. Yeah. Has not been that long? Okay. Okay. I will write that down as well.
Can you not use CareMerge as the directory?
Great. Who said that?
Bruce Scanlon.
Did you say CareMerge? Let me tell you, I know a lot of us are afraid of technology, but CareMerge is the way of the future. Kind of scared to say that, but it is true. So you just said it. CareMerge is a protected system, right? So yes, as we get your pictures and scans, so when you get on CareMerge and you want to look up someone, who their hobbies are, or want to reach out to them, all right, Teresa, we can put your pictures on there. And that's more internal. So it's not really open to public domain. Is that fair?
Right, they can put their own pictures.
And you can put your own picture. So, yeah. Just don't put another resident's picture in place of your picture. It causes confusion. Any other parting comments? All right, so I'm going to scoot.
Yes, you
I'm going to scoot. But it's so good to see you.
Why don't you plan on doing this again every quarter?
No, every month.
I'm going back to monthly. Yeah, I do. You talking about this? The chats? Yeah, I'm back to in person once a month, first Wednesday of the month. Yeah, our doors are always open. All right, we might not always be in there, but our doors are always open. If you can't find me, call Angela. She always tracks me down. Good to see you. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Thank you.